Hi, everybody. Welcome to Untapped. My name is Maureen, even the queen, even the princess. I am not chilling alone. I'm chilling with the one and only.
Mash D.
How you doing, Mash? What's happening?
I'm fresh.
And
I'm
I'm
fresh.
fresh.
And I'm fresh.
Keep getting
Just
fresh.
get fresher. Just keep getting fresher, man. My fresh just keep getting
How
fresher.
you feeling? How's the mood?
I'm cozy.
Cozy. Okay, that's good.
I'm cozy. The weather's been kind of mild, so
Yeah, it's
I've
kind
been
of
I've
cool.
been flowing like the weather.
Yeah, it's kind of calling for like a really chilled, very chilled space. Like it's not too hot today. It's not cold either. It's just like somewhere in the middle, which is like, okay, cool. But welcome to Untapped. If it's your first time here, please subscribe, like, let us know what you tapped into so we can tap into that as well. Also, don't be shy on the comment section. Let us know what you are tapped into. We're interested in what you tapped into. Mesh, what
Yeah.
have you tapped into, my dog? What's been on your mind?
Um so just the cryptocurrency market going all parabolic, given that like the last time we spoke about Bitcoin and the markets, things were bad,
Crypto boys are out.
Yeah, now it's like up, and um, the last time we had mentioned how Trump attended the Bitcoin conference
Yeah.
and sort of the sentiment around his presidency was more positive than a
Yeah.
Kamala presidency where they were uncertain in terms of where she stands in the crypto context.
Didn't he come up with like a crypto something, like a crypto, not a currency, but it's
Yeah, I
like
think he
a
launched a
node or
DAO.
something?
Yeah, he launched I think he launched a DAO. So that's like a decentralized autonomous organization. Might be. I just know he launched whatever he did, or it was an NFT or something. I just remember it was on Ethereum.
Yeah,
Like,
but
but yeah, he did do something recently. Oh, you mean the department?
no, I actually mean Trump himself.
Because we spoke
Because
about. You remember we spoke about Doge and that being a
yes,
joke.
and then it turning into like a real thing. Like
Yeah, and
actually,
yeah, the cryptocurrency that was created as a joke becoming the actual currency would be
yeah,
hilarious. But like Elon was pushing and Vivek Ramaswamy. So those are like they're both entrepreneurs. They were both pushing for Trump, and they've been compensated with the department, right? And the department's what acronym is Doge.
that is crazy. Oh, I saw something that
And I knew it was
Elon posted.
purposeful.
Elon posted something on Twitter.
Yeah, Department of Government
Meant-
Efficiency. So
But yeah, I mean, if you have a president who's attending like the conferences and he's releasing his own stuff, it's a clear like support for that like space. So I would understand it like reacting positively to him being selected or elected as the president. But I know you were happy. You were like, I said it. I said it.
no,
I was right.
I wasn't
Oh my
I wasn't happy
God.
in that context, to be honest. I was just like, especially the people in the comment section that was just responding with nonsensical things, like the kinds of things where you're just like, but that's not in response to what I was saying,
Ah, man.
But yeah, I wasn't. I'm not big on Trump. I just think that he's the better devil.
Then Kamala. But you
Yeah,
know what I was
I think he's
thinking
the
about
better
this
devil.
week, ne? Because I think in our maybe our last episode or two episodes ago, you were like, if you're supporting somebody or a group of people, you don't get to choose what is right for them. They tell you what is right for them. And you made the example about Israel, and you're saying like, if like these people are saying like,
They stand for this.
they stand for this, follow that, because you're not in that situation, you're not experiencing that thing, right? But I found in this situation that was a tricky thing to think about, because a lot of celebrities were on Kamala's side, and it seemed as even if you look at like the what do you call it, the results, right? A lot of black people, a lot of black females, a lot of black males voted for Kamala, right? And a lot of people were calling for her to become the next president. So
Yeah.
in that situation, it's like the lesser devil was somebody that the people themselves in that situation were not rooting for. You get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was saying the lesser devil from like my standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And I think looking at the Trump situation and its individuality, right? Because I also would say that it's important that in as much as you go for, you stand with who stands with what you feel represents what you stand for. I feel like part of it is like standing for something, and that's where you look into, say, if we're gonna say the war between Israel and Palestine, like you first come up with your own perspective on where your stance is there. Like, okay, they're calling it a war. You're like, and then you're like, this looks like a genocide, and it's leaning towards like a Palestine are on the receiving end of
Yeah,
it, right?
it's like a
Then once that's your stance, I think that's when you start pursuing, okay, who are the people that are experiencing what's actually happening?
Okay.
What are their experiences, right? Not haphazardly just saying, just running with. And that's sort of what has been happening with the sort of discourse I've been having about the genocide as well, where it's like, you can tell someone's been informed by a podcast by a right wing Jewish dude that is just biased about the version of events, like what the Nakba is. It's like, oh, you don't know what the Nakba is, like you don't know what it entails, the effects of it today. Like, so it's sometimes I always say, like, sometimes you're having like this conversation and someone else is having this conversation, right? Or they're having this conversation, you're having this conversation, and you're just better off not having any conversation if you're there, because it's like
you're not having the same conversation.
yeah,
maybe.
fundamentally you're worlds apart. I'm kind of forgetting, what was your initial question? I want to
No. It was just
Like,
a
but just
statement,
the
because I was
sentiment you put
saying that
out.
like in America, a lot of black females and black
the
males
Trump
voted
thingy,
for
the
Kamala.
Trump in its individuality, coming back
Yeah.
to it, right? I was saying the lesser devil in terms of just policy, right? If I
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
like the Democrats and their policies and the Republicans and their policies, because not just Trump, but like who else is like the government, right? It's like, that's why I was saying, if I was the time I had the conversation with you about Kamala versus Trump, I was picking the lesser devil for the purpose of the conversation. I feel like rational me, if I was American, right, and black, I would probably abstain.
So
Like,
you
me being
wouldn't
me.
vote?
I wouldn't vote. I was saying, if a gun to my head and I had to choose between Kamala, and that was the perspective I was bringing, Kamala
Okay.
and Trump, I would pick Trump. Because his policies are
makes
like, I
sense.
know he's definitely racist, but his policies are just better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
I feel
the
you.
policies that he represents are better than
So what you're
Kamala's
essentially
policies.
saying is like, even if you kind of have to listen to the people that are experiencing the situation, you also need to apply your mind into what these people are essentially saying and what it means. Before
So
you're
maybe
like,
I resonate with the few black people that did vote for Trump, that didn't vote for Kamala. So I would run with their experiences as a black person, right? Because someone that's voting for Kamala and they're black would just be like, he just cares about the rich people, right? And maybe perhaps the black person that is voting for Trump, like what Chappelle says, like, yo, he represents me, is more perfect for me than like the rural American. And maybe they have experiences that benefit them, right? And maybe I'm leaning because of my biases. And that's why it's important, back to the example you were making about the conversation we were having the other day, it's important that the people that understand what's going on are representative of what's going on, because you will always have a conflict that's like based on your own experiences. So maybe I'm leaning towards Trump policies because they confirm some of the biases I have on the world.
I hear you. Which also are probably shared by most Americans generally, right? Because they voted for him in their majority, in proper majority.
The popular he won,
Yeah. So I guess also it's like, don't sometimes think about above your race or outside of your race when you're thinking about vote. Because just because somebody is a black candidate and does not mean that they represent the things or the principles that you want to be put in place or you want to be pushed.
Not necessarily.
And just because popular media is pushing a certain narrative about somebody doesn't also mean that that's what's true. So you kind of have to do your own research and don't limit your information into like one side of the conversation. Get both sides of the conversation and then make your own decision on, okay, this makes sense. That doesn't make sense. All right, got you. What else have you been tapped into,
Makes
sir?
sense,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. I watched this, I think it was like a sort of a discussion. It was on the state of the music industry, and it featured the CEO of and chairman of Sony Music Group.
Okay.
It was on Bloomberg, and he talked about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Some interesting, some I agree, some I didn't agree, but some of the more interesting things that he spoke of was like Tyler the Creator being a Renaissance artist, right? And he's like, you get those once in a while. Like you get a Renaissance artist once in a while, right? And as he was talking about that, he talked about the significance of Odd Future as a group and like how they grew as like this underground entity, you know, and how beneficial that was for the state of hip hop at the time, right? And what that evolved into, and sort of what the leader becoming this Renaissance artist, right? Everyone's great in their own. Earl is great. Frank Ocean's great. Like everyone that came out of that is like, they just so special in their own right, right? And the Odd Future part he was talking about in the context of where we are today, where a lot of people say, yo, hip hop, all the music sounds the same. You don't have any albums with great replay value, stuff like that, right? That's very common these days. And he was saying that that will only be circumvented by the existence of like underground acts coming up again, like an Odd Future. And I was like, okay, that for me, I kind of looked at it from the context that I best know, like say Venda and like Genge. And I was like, that they have the kind of vibe or the closest thing. Maybe they don't have sort of the freedom that those kids had because they have lives that are outside of, like, they can't just dedicate their lives to that. But what they are brewing, what they are birthing, right, is just this alternative type thing that can only happen from just people being inspired by
and being organic about it.
Yeah, just being inspired like, by what's around them. Like they don't have an incentive to be inspired by what's mainstream, what's dominating, right? And on the dominating thing as well, like he spoke about artists in sort of the conversation. They spoke about artists being forced to have shorter songs for the purpose of playlists, right? And it reminded me of the conversation I was having with you after I watched that like interview with Earl, where he was talking about albums being an institution, right? And the fact that I have this love-hate relationship with playlists. They are honestly like a reel, you know, it's the easy way out. It's very much an easy way. We come from the era where like, you know what song comes after Forbidden Knowledge and comes like, if you like All We Need as like a Rory album, you like the full body of work, right? And maybe you like more songs, more like other songs more than others. But it's like the body of work is, it's like I like every Sylvia demo song, you know, like, so it made me think, because he was like, they've been against that, in that they've spoken on artists dropping 4 or 5 minute songs. Like, him
Yeah.
personally. He's like, and he was like, it works. Like, there's nothing against you dropping a great
Long song.
long song, you know?
I mean,
And playlists were part of the reason why that was discouraged. And playlists aren't that, and it's like they're not an
Yeah.
important. I get the need for a gym playlist or a running playlist or whatever the case may be, or you just want something that works for that moment. But in general, like I feel like playlists are
take something
yeah.
from. You remember when we had this conversation and I was saying like I created this H&M playlist and like I created it probably last year sometime,
remember that.
right? And then he dropped new music.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, like I haven't listened to that body of work
H and
because
Jazz Volume 2 had dropped. I was like, I
Yeah.
want like you should listen to it. She's like, no, I
Yeah.
created this playlist.
He has like, I
and
created this playlist and I like it so much because now I know which song comes after the other song, and it's like, so the body of work I've created as that playlist, which is crazy to even call it that, but it's like I've taken all the albums and I had just taken all the albums and put
your
them on
faves.
one. No, the entire album, put it
Okay.
on a playlist, so that when I play it, it's just H's songs that play on the thing, right? Back to back, album back to back. So if I finish one album, it goes into the next album, goes into the next album, right? But I didn't want to listen to the new album because I was like, what if this new album is not as great as how my playlist is structured? And now it's gonna put me off on my playlist.
Because
And
also
I
your
don't want to
playlist
mess
isn't
with this.
every H&M project.
It isn't.
You know,
But
it's the
now
projects that you like. It's
now I've created this thing, but I actually ended up listening to like the album and I was like, oh, I like it. And then I added it to the like overall kind of playlist that I have. And I feel like, so from that perspective for me, I'm like, I love playlists for that purpose because if I want to just listen to H, I don't want Apple Music to shuffle the thing. I just want to listen from drive here to Venda. I just want to listen to H. I can put all of H's album in that playlist and just listen from the first one to the last one, right? But at the same time, it creates this thing in my head, like I have kind of boxed the artist in that playlist because something else that comes out of that, I'm like, I don't want to get, because I don't want to mess with this creation that I've created myself outside of the artist creating it. I've created another body of work that I've mixed up for myself, you know? But then at the same time, it's like, I remember Nicki Minaj fighting earlier on this year, just being like, yo, her music is not on playlists. And playlists are essential for people to actually tap into new music. So if you're listening to a specific playlist and you hear a song you like, you're more likely to go click on the artist and find out, oh, who's this artist or whatever. She was like people, because people are literally or intentionally not putting her on those playlists.
I get, you see, that's the thing, the gatekeeping. So I feel like we transitioned to streaming, and that was like, yo, we want to overcome the gatekeeping that is a radio, right? Someone else can just pick and choose.
Yeah, what's good.
What's good, right? And like let the algorithm do what it does best, and have this, and operate in this democratized playing field, right? But then now you have bots.
Yeah.
Now you
record labels have had, like, they've gotten their hands on it now.
Exactly. So even certain curators have more influence and power over others. Certain playlists. If we just create an untapped playlist, it's not like it's got any street cred, you know, but like other playlists have more sort of value than other playlists. So, and they are curated by an individual. So it's back to that thing of like, we put so much weight on like individuals.
And the more even if you try to like move out of it, it's like they get their hands on it in some way, and it just
That's why I
happens.
engaged on the Ballon d'Or conversation for a bit, and then I disengaged because I was like, it's not Vinicius Jr. in as much as you might think he deserved it. He did not deserve it by a landslide. Like, he wasn't so much more better than everyone else to such an extent where him losing should make you go crazy. And I was like, it's not wrong to have the perspective or opinion that Vinicius should have won.
Yeah.
But saying that anyone else winning it is against football, is a fraudulent act. That's just absurd, and to think like just the secondary side of it, the fact that it's journalists, it's former footballers, it's actual human beings that voted, that have a bias. You get me? That like a certain style of football that he might not play, or like it's humans, bro. Like it's actual humans. So for me, it becomes very laughable. It becomes very laughable, and that's why I also reference with the Grammys, the 2014, the heist.
Oh
Yeezus.
yes, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, the heist. You've got Yeezus, you've got Magna Carta, Holy Grail, you've got Good Kid, Mad City, you've got Nothing Was the Same. Heist wins, right? Like any other one could have won, and it would have
been fine. Heist means, matter, he had like Macklemore apologized.
but
He's
he
like,
won.
yo, I know you deserved it, but like,
He
I'm
won.
so sorry. But he
I
won.
get that, yeah.
It's the machine. The machine has its hands everywhere, fam. Like, especially in the music industry, pop culture in general, they create that thing. They know how it runs. So whatever field you try to create, it's like they get their hands on it, Like, I think about it now, like an album like The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, for example, which had like long songs, and you can tell even from her performances, she used to perform like one song for like 10 minutes. She would just go into her own thing. And people still go back to those like performances, still go back to that album, still go back to like, the body of work that she released. That's the only body of work she released, literally, like as a solo artist. And even to this day, it's still like a really big album. It's still a big reference point in the like hip hop culture, even, right? It's like then it didn't matter except the fact that you could do the thing, except for the fact that you could really sing, except for the fact that you could really rap, and you could put a song together and actually say something in the song that connected people and they could listen to it. But now it's like you could put a bunch of words together and you could make a song, and that song could just become a hit. And it's like it could even become a TikTok trend where it's like a 30-second version of that song becomes so popular, and people just know that 30 seconds of that song. They don't even know the full song. They know that 30 seconds. So our attention span in general has become this little. So listening to a full body of work, like that, a song that's like 7 minutes long, like listening to an Andre 3K flute song that's like it's just
12 minutes.
It just goes. That attention span is not there anymore because we're being wired to be like quick bite, let's go. And part of that, to be fair, is also this playlist culture that have been created by certain entities to push whatever artist.
Consumerism.
Yeah, So even informs which artists become popular, which artists become the biggest thing, which artists become, but I mean,
Yeah. So like he's like, they asked him about the price of Apple and Spotify going up. And he's like, it would have made sense. I thought that was pathetic. He said something like it would have made sense for the price of music, so like Apple and the monthly subscription to be more in line with your streaming platforms like your Netflix, because audio streaming platforms have every piece of music. And I was just like thinking about...
Wait, like, so what? Please repeat that because I'm not getting it. What is he essentially saying?
Like they were asking him about the price increasing of Apple and Spotify, right? And he was saying that he consistently has conversations with Daniel Ek, that's the CEO of Spotify. And he believes that the work they're doing is great, and the price that they should be charged, that's long overdue. The price that they should be charging should be more in line with like your Netflix or like your visual streaming platforms. because they have some movies, some content, but with audio streaming platforms, they have all the music. And that's a lie. I know albums that aren't on like Spotify or Apple. You know, that's the
Yeah.
first thing, right? Secondly, you like the value of, for me, of visual in the context of like a movie that has a 500 million rand budget versus an album
It's not the
that someone
same.
could have worked
It's
for over.
not the
It's not even
same.
close. Like there's
It's
so
not,
many loopholes
but
in what he's
also
saying.
on the like video or movie streaming platforms, right? You're not just finding the movie itself, you're actually discovering music as well. Because
Yeah.
part of movie is the score. And artists have like fight for their songs to be part of a movie
Facts.
score, because why? They know if it gets traction, they get their music streams and people discover them and
Yeah.
all of that. So
You see, so yeah, that was for me like, yeah, part of where it was just like pathetic, where I was like, that logic is just absurd, because you want to make sense of it because you have an incentive to, but it's just crazy to think that
it's not the same.
that's believable. But also what he's saying is a lie. Like it's a lie. I can think of albums like The Ecstatic or even Rejects by Joey Badass. Like you have so many just hip hop albums that I can think of that are not on.
Also, some SoundCloud albums are not on your
Yeah.
major streaming platforms, and some of these big rappers
Pink
that
Moon
are
isn't on Apple Music
Yeah.
or Spotify. So
But I hear you.
like,
I
it's
mean,
a bold
it's
statement
meant
to make.
be-
Like
it is.
we have every piece of music. Like no,
No,
you
you
don't.
don't. And also the effort that goes into creating a movie, fam. Like people that just the people involved in creating a movie.
I
like,
get it. I get that, but also the same amount of resources, right, could go into making a body of work as it can, like as can go to like a movie. But it can, but it's very rare.
very rare.
Yeah, it can. It's like it's just disproportionately apart, and it's not happening. But someone could have a 30 million US dollar budget to like work on an album where it's like for writers, having the right features. Maybe the album is for a documentary or something. Like there's just so much more to do with the album. And you could have the exact same budget for like how much money I don't know I stand to be corrected, but how much money goes into the album of like the really big artists?
It's a lot of money. I'm not.
Don't you think it's enough money to make a movie?
An entry level movie, not a Gladiator 2
Yeah,
type
no,
of
no, I'm not.
movie.
No. That's why I didn't say 500 million. You get 500 million budgets on a movie. I didn't say 500 million budget on an album.
Yeah, but also it's like that much being invested in an album is like you have to be investing in the visuals as well. You get me? Like it's very
I
rare
get that's
for something like that
but
to
then
just
it's fine.
come up.
But then the
with
visuals
just-
don't. But then the visuals don't reinforce the movie idea because they aren't like they're accompanying the song.
Yeah, but not all music videos are on streaming platforms. You get me? So it's like
Yeah.
a part of the
Yeah.
music itself is
Yeah.
not part of your streaming
That's a
platform.
good
So
one, yeah.
when I go into a streaming
I
platform
need to go on your Vivo on YouTube
to go and see the video, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm watching a movie, I'm watching the music, I'm watching the people, I'm watching the storyline, everything, the direction of everything in just one body of work. So I don't know. I mean, also with that, it's like the subscription amount that we pay for these things, right? And what goes to the artist is also wild.
Yeah.
Because how is it that like I think someone, I don't know which podcast somebody was on, and they were talking about how it's not even a rand they receive for like a stream. It's like in the cents or something like that.
Yeah, a
And
portion
it's
of
like,
a penny. Yeah.
it's like even if the way to increase the subscription price, right? they would still get such a small amount of that subscription price. So it's like essentially he's speaking for himself. Like he's putting his
Yeah.
like
And so I think eventually for the artist, for me, I just want the end game to be
go indie.
to be
Just go
Web3, to
indie.
be blockchain, to be people just creating
Yeah.
things
But yeah.
at a completely different place from where it currently exists.
Yeah.
I don't think the platforms as they exist today are where the answer is going to come from. You know, it's like Spotify isn't going to have a better model than it does now. You just need
Yeah.
something to kill Spotify.
It's also like it's a change of mind from guys like this, right? Because the thing is, even if you change the thing, because what we were saying earlier, the streaming platform came in because we're saying, oh, we want everybody to release music and for it to be accessible to everybody so that everybody can have access to it. But now the record labels have had their hands on it and it's not that anymore. It also seems like whatever we create, whatever we come up with to run away from this thing, if that mindset does not change from like a fundamental level right up there, there's going to be some form of infiltration that always happens. You get me? Like whatever we move towards, like some guy is just going to come up and find a way to sabotage it in some way. And it might work for a while, but it's like there's no winning. It's like capitalism wants to take it like every single time, every plan it's like, you know, when you're saving like your money on like a little piggy bank and somebody's like coming out and taking it out. And you think you're saving a lot and at the end of like whatever period you take it out and there's literally nothing. Because the guy has found a way to just kind of leak out of the piggy bank in some way, you know? So it's that. But anything else, my dog?
No.
Nothing else. Okay, I'll tell you what I've been tapped into. So one thing that's topical right now is the illegal miners that have been stuck underground. And I say stuck, but I know there's like a lot of people say they refuse to come out, and that's the messaging around it. So there's an illegal mine. There's a bunch of miners that have been running operations there. They go in obviously without the right equipment. They don't have but they're just trying to zama in their way to get to get the minerals out. And what law enforcement has done is to stop the food and water supply pipeline so that they can force them to actually come out. Right, a good number of them have come up, but there is still a good number of them still kind of stuck. And the narrative is stuck on the one side, stuck as in the government must help them to come out. And then there's another narrative that says, look, these people, we are telling them to come out properly. We just want to arrest them because they're doing something illegal, right? And it has been such a big conversation online because fundamentally because of that, some people are like, hey, these people are still human. They have human rights. Even though they're criminals, they have human rights. They still need to, they still have the right to life. They still need to be treated as humans. So rescue them. Go in there and rescue them. While the other side is like, no, but these people are messing up the community. They are causing so much trouble in the communities when they come out of this. And also, we have given them the option to come up. They just need to use the same way they got in to come up, and then we'll give them everything they need. Another point being like, we're not going to send the police force down there for something that's not structurally built for people to go in there, to go rescue people that are choosing to go in there. What if these people kill them? What if something happens to those people down there? What are we going to say is a justifiable reason for them to be going down there when they could have come up and just gotten the resources that they need and possibly go to jail, but, get the resources that they need? So I was just like, I was thinking about this, and from my perspective, I'm like, I get it.
What do you get?
I'm getting to that. I get you are trying to hustle, ne? And there are no jobs. Oh, the other element of this thing is also that majority of these people are illegal foreigners. Okay, that's what we're getting. So from Lesotho, I think Mozambique as well, or something like that. So the narrative is illegal foreigners who are not from South Africa that are going down there. From my perspective, I feel like I get it that like there are no jobs. You are all trying to survive and make it work, and things are not as available for opportunities are not as available as you'd like them to be. But at the same time, you cannot put the responsibility on government to protect illegal activities. You get like, if I find you stealing at my house and you have a gun and I shoot you dead in self-defense, that's like it. I was defending myself, right? I was protecting my household. I was protecting the people that live in my house. Now, if you come into a country and you do illegal activities and you terrorize a community, and then you get an option to be like, yo, come out properly. We're not going to fight you. Just come out in peace. We're not killing you or anything. And then you refuse to come up. I feel like it's like you also you've, and I saw a video of this lady, right? She was talking about her husband and her son who went there for the first time, like underground. And she was explaining, she was pleading to the president to be like, yo, please just help them, go and fetch them to come up and all of that. But I feel like there's also an element of a sense of responsibility, right? Like you are committing an illegal act and you now have to put people who are fathers, right, who are heads of their own household at risk to come rescue you from a situation that you put yourself in. You're also being asked to come out, but you're refusing to come up. Yeah. So it's like, I dare you type of situation, right? It's almost like the government is being emotionally blackmailed. But at the same time, I don't like the fact that there's people dying because they don't have the supply, right? They don't have the water, they don't have the food. I don't like the fact that, there isn't any other way, as it seems, of getting this without harming people. So if you send people in to get them, you can't guarantee that these people will also come out safe and sound, because you don't know what's going to happen down there. But it's also like the more you don't send people in, the more people die. And the more you cut the supply of water and electricity, or water and food, the water and food supply, more people end up dying, So I was conflicted, but I ended up, and I'm sort of, a part of me understands why police enforcement, like law enforcement, is doing what they're doing. It's just that I also, from a human perspective, I just don't like seeing people die. And people calling this a massacre as well. Like people are comparing the situation to Marikana, right? Where the mana is Uganda. So it's like, and also it's mines, right? Mines are very like, a very like serious issue in South Africa, because it's natural resources that majority were taken away from us as African countries. And, the big corporates took, like corporations came in, taking it over, and people don't agree with all that, how that was handled, right?
They still own them.
And they still own them, right? And it's like now this illegal miners are now taking these like resources. It's almost like there's the sense of like, oh, they're taking back what belongs to them. Like it also belongs to them.
Yeah, there are just so many facets. Like it's a loaded thing, but I feel like there are arguments for and against on both sides. Like what they're doing in terms of making demands also is just crazy. Like you can't sometimes consider the position you're in and how you got there, and then you need to figure out what makes sense in terms of the kinds of demands you can make, right? I think them making demands regarding the intricacies to do with them coming out, when they'll come out or how they'll come out, is just crazy, right? I do also just honestly feel like you can't applied the whole citizens are inevitably going to die because we're looking for Hamas, you know? Like they're using the humans as shields, right? Because you think of like the lady, I'm not sure if it's the same lady, but it's like there are kids in there, you know, and like with kids, sometimes it's forced labor.
Because apparently there's gangs, like,
You know, so
right there.
so
it's
those
like,
people are there together. Those people are there together. In as much as perhaps there's someone who deserves to get bombed in there, there's someone who has their entire life ahead of them. I'm just also just being extreme. I don't think there's anyone who deserves to get bombed, you know, because the corporations you just made mention of, they still like their founding wasn't genuine. Like if we go back to how these big corporations started, it's like, how did you start? What was the genesis of your story? Like they can't tell you the genesis. Like it's like, can we please find the lease?
It's not it's not legal. Like if you were to test that genesis with what is currently legal, that wouldn't be considered legal.
No, it wouldn't. So there's that. You know, I think we need to empathize with that fact, but there's never a reason to justify crime or criminality, but we need to also understand that the government are capable of committing crimes.
True.
So some of the
100%.
ideas they are insinuating are borderline criminal.
100%. And I feel like that's also a very important thing, right? Because I think we can understand where the government is coming from, where law enforcement is coming from, because again, this is an issue that people that live around the area have been complaining about, that these guys, when they come out here, terrorize the community. So they're also responding to a call that has been made by the community. So they have the responsibility to protect the community. But at the same time, it's like the way you also go about that can also be criminal. The way you protect a community can also be criminal. And it's like, do you know what it made me think of? When you said, like in our trailers, in the beginning trailers, like you were like, South Africa has the best constitution in the world, and then you're like, yeah, but why hasn't anybody adopted it? Right? It's like, because
I hear that so much. Like I hear that so much. I heard that. I don't even want to say like who, but like I heard that on someone's story recently. That's a lawyer talking about, hey, yes, and South Africa has the best constitution. And I was like, we say that so loosely. Like we don't stress test that statement enough.
Because it's in this situation where that constitution becomes it's put to test, because now you have to balance the idea of protecting everybody, right? Of protecting and everybody having rights, different levels of rights, but also like protecting different interests, right? Now you have to protect the community. You have to protect what happens to human life. Even the guys that are down there actually are part of your responsibility. They're in your land. You have to protect them. And if they're in South Africa, they have the right to life. They have the right to access certain things like water, electricity, food. And if they're resorting to crime is because they lack this rights that you have promised them as a government, it's like, on both sides, you kind of are, you are infringing on some level of rights for both people. And to what extent do you infringe on those rights?
And it's so easy to move the goalposts. Like, I remember watching, might have been a clip, but it was Elon talking about his fallout with the founder of Google.
Yeah.
And at the time, Google, especially after their acquisition of DeepMind, had 3/4 of the world's AI talent. They had obviously a lot of computers and a lot of money. So it was a unipolar world for AI. But the person who controls that does not, or at least did not seem to be concerned about AI safety. That sounded like a real problem. So the final straw was Larry calling me a speciesist for being pro-human consciousness instead of machine consciousness. And I'm like, well, yes, I guess I am. I am a speciesist.
And it was because I forgot the word, but then the word means basically someone who thinks humans are superior. So they were basically having a philosophical argument as friends about AI, and Elon was basically telling him how you want to play God, and it's wrong to play God. AI needs to be regulated. And he was more like, no, I have the ability, more so like leaning towards having the ability to handle the AI, right? Like most of the world's search information is with you, like you have so much power in terms of just all the data you can use to make this thing. But Elon was referred to as like thinking he's more superior to like humans. But it's so crazy how the person on the giving end is the one that's acting superior. You get me? Like, you are saying I can because like you're making the argument that he's basically making the argument that you want to regulate AI because you think humans can't use it well, right? You think humans are superior. You think humans are not better than other animals. I think humans are just as inferior as a cat or a dog, but I think humans must control the AI. So it's a very philosophically, it's a very challenging conundrum, but it's like, what someone's doing. It's like I'm gonna lowball you. It's like lowballing you.
Yeah. They're putting you in a position where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like if Elon says like, oh no, like yes, let's regulate AI, he sort of agrees to the fact that AI can do something that like it can go against what it has been programmed to do. Basically.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like this person has defined sort of the North Star metric of the conversation, and the North Star metric of the conversation is that thinking that humans need to control AI that they're creating is thinking that humans are better. Like you need to believe that. So the thing is, having any other conversations below that conversation is going to be very difficult. The only way to go about that conversation is challenging that. But like you've already been put in a position. But yeah, it was something like that. I saw a clip like that where he's like, yeah, he referred to me as and I was like, okay, I like it when rich people fight.
Rich people fight and we suffer, bro. Like that's the problem.
Yeah, it's like they're having a very dumb fight because look now, Elon started OpenAI with Sam Altman, and it was started as a non-profit, right? But now Elon has a lawsuit with Sam because Sam Altman, a company that was started as a non-profit based off of donations, has turned into a for-profit company. You have ChatGPT now. And it's like, that's one of the most illegal things ever. Ever. How do you turn a non-profit company to a for-profit company that's now part owned by Microsoft?
That's crazy.
So
you've actually taken people's money to establish this thing, and then you're like, oh, joke's on you. I'm gonna make money out of this thing. Yeah, that's wild.
It's so unethical.
That's wild.
So unethical. So that's moving the goalposts. But look at how this guy essentially is fighting with this other guy about the control of AI, starts something with another guy, but ends up fighting with this other guy because even that guy isn't moral enough to run with the vision as how it was created. Because the reason why it was made a non-profit was for everyone to have power and influence over how it runs. But now by making it go private, you're saying what we
There's-
figured out.
yeah.
Yeah, there's power here. Hey, let me
And
handle
then
this power.
you see, it's almost like you start something and then it gets you. Like they get you. They find a way to get to you. You're starting this thing and you're thinking, oh, everybody will have access to this. We're decentralizing this. But then at the end of the day, it's like
Nah.
somebody's gonna like messed up in some way. But it's a tricky thing. I feel back to the whole situation. I feel like it's such a tricky thing, and all of us, I feel, I honestly want to be on the right side of history, right? I want to say like, but it's like I'm put in a position where, there isn't a right side of history. It's like both sides have like things that I don't agree with, loopholes that I don't
You see,
agree with.
that's why for me, the people that abstain from voting,
It's a vote.
like I will always stand with the fact that it's a vote, because not being represented is a thing. Like saying, because people, the other side is like, you need to pick a devil, but it's like, no, I don't.
There's no lesser devil. Because all of these things are evil, like all of them.
No, I don't.
Like watching people die in real time is evil. And you also terrorizing communities, going out there and doing something you're not supposed to do, that's also wrong. You're not supposed to be doing that, And you like forcing kids to come work in these mines that are life-threatening. They die out there, nothing happens, their families don't know where they are. That is evil.
And you buying the final product that
The syndicates that these people are feeding into, that's evil, right? And where are these people? Where is the crackdown in finding the syndicates behind like these guys that are, because these guys are just the
given
foot soldiers.
how quick the president of El Salvador just cleaned up the country, like arrested the gangs and stuff, just how quick he did that was just that reminder that they just don't want.
It's not
They just don't want. Like the South African government is not incapable of going to every drug house and like,
because they know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah,
They know where they are. Who runs certain areas. People know. And it's like that.
There's an incentive to not fix the world's problems. And it's crazy.
It's like you create a problem so that people can come to you for a solution in some way.
crazy.
And look at you as a hero when you solve part of the solution, which is wild. There's so much we didn't get into. But do you think, actually, just speaking about the situation very quickly, do you think that...
Another one of those what you've been tapped into.
This is something else.
Okay.
But it's like connecting to what we just spoke about. Like, do you think that in this instance, like that we just spoke about, there is a truth and a fact? And between those two things, what is the difference? So I was having this conversation this week with somebody, and they were saying to me, like, a truth remains a truth. Like, there's truth, and that's the truth. There can be versions of the truth, but there is one truth, right? And then there is a fact, right? Like, a fact can change at any point. Like, it can be... So, and I was like, nah, I think that truth is a perspective, and fact is like the scientific... representation of the situation. So the fact can be proved.
It can be proven.
Can be proved. Whereas
I get you.
truth is just like...
I think the thing about truth and fact is they're on the same end of a spectrum.
Go in there.
Like the opposite end would have fiction and lie.
Okay, yes.
You following me?
I'm following.
So, yes, I would say truth is representative of more of like, I agree with the perspective. It's like a social science because it's embedded on experiences.
Yeah.
So in that situation, the the truth could be the fact that some of the miners are out. You know, there's some truth to that. Like, I mean, where we got that information is on the papers. It's on the, you know, but it's like
It's been reported.
It's been reported, but people can confirm that it's true or untrue. Like, it's like we've been told that there are miners that have come out. There are some that are still inside. There's some truth to the fact that they're being fed. There's some truth to the fact is illegal mining is happening in South Africa. You know, so that's been tested because there's data about that kind of thing happening for years. You know, so the hypothesis is, when did people find out? The question you're asking in the hypothesis is, when did people find out about mining? And it's like, the people found out about mining in 1875. When did mining... Was legal then. When it became legal and formalized, were people still doing it illegally? And it's like, that's the beginning of Zamazamas. And that was probably...
The true Zamazamas. Actually,
the true Zamazamas, yes. The true Zamazamas. I was watching a Lady Pando interview, and I was like... She could revive the ANC. It's just that she's retired now.
Yeah, she is.
But she doesn't have any. I tried to Google her just to see like what comes up. She doesn't have any controversies surrounding her. She's made sound decisions and like had really great achievements in the different departments that, I mean, not home affairs, but like as education minister, as minister of foreign affairs, like, but she
was killing it.
You know, so
with that one, she was killing it.
Yeah, like, I think, but she's also not the kind of person that represents what ANC is about, if we're being completely honest, right? Even if she's been there for a while. So it does suck, but I'm sorry that I went to a different tangent. But I think truth, fact, I genuinely believe they're both important. Truth is more representative of like a social science, which is like experiences, but fact is science.
Because we could have different truths about us, like the same situation.
We could have different, but also that is problematic because I feel like the truth will always be the truth, even if there's your version of the truth in mine. And I feel like those are our perspectives, right? So say a situation happened where you slapped me, gender-based violence.
Don't make examples of me fight. I'm not a violent person.
Imagine it was the other way around. It would have been a worse example. Like,
they're going to be making an example and being like, she let him make an example about beating up women. Yeah. She's like, yo,
say you beat me, you beat me up. But like, your story is, I didn't beat this guy up, right? That's your truth. Let's call it your truth. My truth is, you see, that's the thing. It's your version of it. It's your story.
But that's a blatant lie because you actually did it. It's on the other end of the spectrum.
But we only know it's a blatant lie because there was CCTV footage where it happened. If there was no CCTV footage, you could run with that lie till the day. How many people are running with lies?
But you know how I've thought about it, Ne? It's like if you're standing, the
truth is what happened is my point. That's how I view the truth. The
but
truth
what
is
happened could be different based on who saw what happened.
Not who saw. The truth is what happened. The truth is what happened.
Come up and say, maybe somebody was watching you.
Those are your version of events. The truth is what happened.
The truth to that person.
The truth is what happened.
Because that person, if you were to put that person on a stand and ask them to be a witness, that's what they're gonna say, and they would be telling the truth.
They're saying their version of they're saying their version of events.
To them, that's the truth. That's what they saw.
It's their version of events.
So this is how I see the situation, right?
Yeah.
I say the fact is the CCTV footage is a fact for me because you can go and see, okay, this person. So the proof in it, the scientific evidence of that situation is a fact for me. The truth, on the other hand, is
Cameras have existed for years. They've been tested. They get what's happening.
right?
Nothing can be
And we
contorted
can
from
say this
camera
thing has
footage.
not been manipulated.
Yeah.
It's what,
Yeah.
right? But then I feel like truth is, if I'm standing in front of you and you're wearing a black and white shirt, it's black on this side, white on the other side, right? And I'm standing in front of you. I can't see the back. I can only see the front. I'll say, Mesh is wearing a black shirt. I'd fight because I'm saying, this guy
That's
is
what I'm
wearing
saying.
a
It's
black
your.
shirt.
That's what I'm saying. Your version of
The
events,
guy at the
because the
back
fact
is
that
a perspective, because it's what you're exposed
but
to.
let's call it that. Let's call it your
Yeah.
perspective. Let's
Truth
call it.
is a perspective.
No, let's not make truth synonymous with perspective. Let's say it's your perspective. Like, there's no problem with calling it a perspective. It's a version, because why I'm calling it the truth is the fact that the only thing that you're able to see from your perspective is the black in the front, and you
Yeah.
can't see the white in the back, doesn't change the fact that
Right.
doesn't change the fact that it's black and white.
Yes.
So the truth is I'm wearing a black and white shirt. In that moment. That's the truth. I'm wearing a black and white shirt.
But that's a
Which-
fact.
In that moment. I'm talking about the fact is I'm wearing a black and white shirt, right?
Yes.
But in that moment, in that very moment that you are looking at me
Yes.
wearing a shirt that's
White
white in the
or-
front
Okay.
and black in the back. Because you could have even made a more succinct statement and
Mm.
said, I saw Mash wearing a shirt that was white in
white.
the front.
Okay.
That could have been more true. You get me? That's still your perspective, but you've
Could
described
have been
your
closer to the fact.
you've just described your version of events more succinctly.
Okay, sharp. We'll get into this.
But I get where you're
Let's-
coming from. I get where it's
all good.
it's a very interesting sort of
Last question,
conundrum.
Ra, for the week. If you were to describe a perfect day for you, what would that day look like?
Damn, that's an interesting question. A day where I just put my best foot forward, man, because some days are not like others.
Okay.
Yeah. Where it's like sometimes you look back on a day and it's like you didn't do what you expected yourself to do in the beginning of the day because and you knew you wouldn't be capable of doing it because it wasn't that kind
Yeah.
of day. So I just feel like the best day is where it's like the best things
tried your best.
the best things you can do in that day. Like, yeah, I think the best day for me would be the day where how it would look like is the day where I can just put my best foot forward. If the day starts with a walk, or if the day starts with a call, or if the day starts with me hopping in the shower, but everything else that I do, I can look back on and be like, okay,
I tried my best.
I tried my best. You know,
Okay.
even if my best for that day just
Was not enough. Or
could not average out to like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Maybe what that day
Yeah.
entailed was me watching a good pod.
Yeah.
You
And that
know,
was like
learning-
that
It was enough.
to keep you for that
Yeah,
day.
or reading 3 pages because I keep paging back to like the 2 previous ones because I'm not getting it.
Yo, that is actually, you know what you just said about the pages? It's a very like philosophical thing, because you could talk about it in a life perspective. That even if you keep on running certain scenarios in your head, if the best you could do in that day was run scenarios in that day, that could have been like your day. Interesting.
How about
Interesting.
your
Me,
day?
I think you put it so nicely. Like,
Yeah.
like if I can say to myself, I did my best on that day, that would be my best day. But more just like practically, I think a day where I have no responsibilities. Like, I just don't have any engagements. I just do what I want to do. I wake up and I'm like, what do I feel like today? And I'm doing that. And I end up, at the end of the day, I've done that. I'll be happy. But yeah, that's us. Peace out for the...
Peace out.
We out.